Alright, hello. I'm back again with another video on the forgiveness series that I felt compelled to undertake. I have actually at this point 21 different topics on the subject of forgiveness. This would be my third of those 21. And you know, I'm just taking it one piece at a time. I'm not going to try to cover the whole topic, you know, because it is a very complex topic. It's like the word keeps coming to mind, dynamic. The subject of forgiveness is dynamic. It has to do with your life, my life, collectively our lives on this planet, and I would say it definitely has to do with the message of the Holy Bible, specifically what Jesus Christ taught and lived, and has to do with our afterlife and quite possibly our relationships in the afterlife with other people and with God. So it's very important. But I'm not going to quote scriptures for this. I'm not going to quote the scriptures for this. I'll save that for another video. It's just a discussion. This thing, ouch, always hard to write. This is just a discussion from a practical point on how not to light a candle. $4 candles that I picked up. Oh yeah, there she's going now. I've got my little cup of tea here and my doily, so you know I mean business. So the topic of this one is on forgiveness. Why forgive? And I'm not saying out of a Christian perspective even, just as a human being, you know, as a group and individually. Why should we forgive? What does it benefit us? I know people that don't forgive. I know people that have a real hard time saying sorry, admitting their wrongs, and so do you. And to some extent, me and you are that person to some extent, maybe, maybe not. I don't think I have a hard time admitting when I've done something wrong, maybe a harder time seeing it, which is why I have to ask God to help me see, to illuminate. You know, that's in my first video. But it's just admit it. No, I don't think without confession there can be no 100% forgiveness. And moreover, for us individually, without admitting that we've done something wrong, there's mistakes and then there's sins. They're kind of close, but they're not the same. I'll let you think about that. But how can we grow from it? How can anybody learn from it? Forgiveness facilitates, and so does confession to ourselves, to God, to others, somebody we wronged, possibly, admitting to ourselves. It all helps facilitate relationships and personal growth. So, that's not the topic of this video. Sorry. The topic of this video is, why should we forgive? And not necessarily in the biblical sense that, you know, Christ obviously has taught us to forgive people, like big time. You know, he set his whole life was for that topic, love and forgiveness. But he also was a teacher. Why should we forgive? It helps us heal, it helps us release things. When somebody's done us something wrong, we're wounded. We may be angry, we may be hurt, we may be confused, but we're wounded from other people's transgressions. Their words, their actions, the things they do, the things they say, the things they don't do that they should have, the things they don't say that you wish they had. You know, there's so much to it. So to be able to forgive is to release a good part of that wound and facilitate healing for yourself and possibly others. And sometimes that can happen instantly. Hey, I forgive you, don't worry about it. You know, somebody's like, oh, I'm sorry. It happens every day at work. Somebody bumps into you or something. Oh, sorry, my bad, they say. That's my bad. And yeah, hey, it's all good, it's good, you know? Or whatever. I bump into somebody with my cart or something. Hey, it's all right. You know, instant forgiveness. You know, as opposed to if I bumped into somebody and just kept moving along, they may think I have a problem. They may think maybe they did something to upset me. So, you know, we have, those are almost, we call it manners, but it's like a smaller level of forgiveness. Or, excuse me, pardon me, oh, sorry about that. Don't worry about it, it's all right, it's good. On a different level, though, when people wrong us severely, in so many ways that they can wrong us, and if you look, there's so many ways people can do you wrong, and governments can do you wrong. Right on up to killing you or killing somebody you love, taking your life, take your home, kill somebody you love, take your spouse, take your money, ruin your career, ruin your reputation, maliciously, you know. There's so many levels of wrong. And we live with that. And so when somebody's wronged you, yeah, it's a good idea to forgive, to work through it. Christ said, if you know, it's in the Bible. I'm saving that for another video, what the Bible says about forgiveness. But it's straightforward. Go to somebody and say, you've done me wrong, you know. Or to go to somebody and say, hey, I'm sorry, I've done you wrong. But the Bible's about being at one-on-one, take it right to the person where there's nobody else around, and admit your sins or tell them they've wronged you. And try to work it out, man to man, face to face, however you want to say it, is preferably the best way. Via text messages and things, yeah, I suppose that works, but it's not the same, doesn't have the same power of sincerity, you know, the level of sincerity that face to face has. And if things can be misconstrued in text messages, as you know. Other reasons why we should forgive. Let's say, just on a practical sense, somebody has something I want, something I like a lot. Maybe I'm very attracted to that person. Or maybe they're providing for me some way materialistically. Or maybe they're providing for me emotionally. And, you know, we've had a spat. And it's worth it to me to work it out rather than lose that relationship. It may have nothing to do with love at all, you know, or care or Christianity. Maybe I just don't want to lose this person or this group of people, you know, as my allies, my friends, whatever, lovers, spouse, whatever. The relationship between other people and myself, I don't want to lose it. So I'm willing to forgive if they've wronged me in some way. I'm thinking like, and they won't even admit it. That makes it harder sometimes. But if they admit it, it makes it easier to forgive. And very rarely, but I've seen it, where you admit to somebody, hey, I did you wrong, will you forgive me? No, I'm not going to forgive you. I've seen that happen. I've seen it. I'm laughing about it, but I kind of like it when people are kind of, I don't know, starchy like that sometimes. But on a realistic way, it's not a very good way to live your life, is it? I've seen that. I've heard some pretty good ones. I knew this woman once, just a friend of mine, Sabrina. And she was on the phone with somebody. I was at her house. It was just a friend of mine, about my age. And she was from Queens, New York originally. So she had this Queens accent, old school Queens accent. And she was talking to somebody on the phone. And she says, I don't want to hear your shallow apologies. I don't want to hear your shallow apologies. She says, you just do something to make this right. And then click. I didn't even ask her what that was about, but I kind of remembered that one. You know, or where am I going with this? Oh my God, I'm just having a chat. Sometimes people forgive other people because they've weighed it out. Like on a scale, their scale of what's the right thing to do here. Personally, I can't stand that person and what they did. I'm just saying other people, right? I can't think somebody I can't stand, but they suck it up, and they weigh it out and they say, I can't afford to lose that person or that group of people. So I'm going to forgive them. I'm going to let it go. I'm just going to let it go. I'm going to forgive them and carry on, and maintain the relationship. In my life, what I've seen, yeah, you can do that. If you keep doing that without resolving things, it's bound to just keep happening over and over, isn't it? So it's better to go face to face and work things out instead of just saying, you know what, I don't want to lose that relationship, so I'm just going to pretend that never happened. I forgive them. I love them too much, or I need them too much, for whatever reason. It's better to go talk to them. Say, hey, look, I've got a problem here. Why did you do this or that, or say this or that, or, whatever your problem is with them. It's better to try to work it out. So sometimes we forgive people just for the sake of maintaining a relationship, and that could be on an individual level, it could be on a national level. After World War II, the United States didn't just forgive Germany, we rebuilt Germany and Japan because, on a practical sense, we need them for post-war for allies. So even on a national level, and I'm pretty sure Indian tribes and on a tribal level, our ancestors all over the world have done the same thing. They've forgiven other groups around them because it was more important to maintain the alliance. But it's always better to work it out rather than just let it go. What are some other reasons people forgive? Because honestly, I hate to say this, but they're just too weak. They can't. They're just. What am I trying to say? Weak. Being a pushover. That's another topic. Because in some ways, you could say Jesus was a pushover. People got over on him. Did they though? Really? I mean, he could stand up. He had a backbone. He threw the lenders out, the money changers, and the swindlers out of the temple, and he told a few people off compassionately, but a couple of times with no this or that about it, he threw them out of the temple. And told the woman at the well he forgave her, but told her don't sin anymore. And so he could stand up. I don't think he was a pushover at all. But I think some people can be pushovers. They just don't stand up for themselves. They're like a doormat, They let themselves get walked all over. And is that really setting the Christian example? That's a question I ask. That's another topic I should write down to talk about. At what point I don't know, maybe Christ said to forgive people over and over and over and over. And I'll get to that in another video. If they slap you, turn the other cheek, So I'm not the most forgiving person as I'd like to be. Part of the reason I'm doing these videos is I'm trying to work through some things myself. And in working through it, I'm finding out what a vast, again, dynamic topic forgiveness is. It just reaches out all over the place. It's like a very, very big topic. As you'll see, I didn't realize it was so big until I started listing out subtopics like I'm doing with these videos. What are some other reasons people forgive? I already covered because out of love, because the Bible tells us to. Jesus set the example. We're supposed to try to live that example. Then we just, out of practical sense, we don't want to lose the relationship. We don't want to forfeit the relationship or harm the relationship. Usually, if you haven't forgiven somebody, you may talk to them, but it's not the same as it. The relationship may not be over, but it's damaged. So you may forgive you just like want to keep that little ship afloat. You know, you don't want it to sink, or you don't want to, you know, practical sense. You don't want to lose whatever they're providing you: protection, money, emotional support, sex. Sex, said that. Yeah, throw that in there too. Then some people forgive people. Oh, I messed this up. Why some people don't forgive people is another topic. Some people forgive people because they, this is what happens when you don't use notes. Because they're too weak, they're too soft. In my opinion, at least I thought that, they're too soft. They're not strong enough to stand up to somebody and say, hey, you've wronged me. It doesn't mean I'm condemning you to hell. It doesn't mean I'm judging you. I don't wish you or anybody to hell. That's not for me to say anyway. But you've done me wrong. And, you know, I want to get beyond this, so what do you have to say for yourself, you know, or something like that, however you do it. Some people can't do that because they're just not, they're very meek. My mom was that way, but my mom loved people a lot more than I do. I think a lot more. I'm working on it. What are some other reasons people forgive people? Because they're family. I mean, you can't really get rid of family, can you? You kind of, there's a saying, I forgot what it goes, but you know, you don't choose your family, but you can't, you know, really walk out on your family or not forgive your family. There goes my washer again. Every time I make these videos, if you hear that in the background, it's my washing machine. Other reasons people forgive other people. Because they love them. That goes with the other one where they don't want to lose the relationship. Or they may forgive people because they feel compassion and they kind of see them through Christ's eyes in their fallen state and realize they're just a human being, that they're not perfect, that they're going to make mistakes. You know, this is part of their growing in life. So I forgive you because you're only human and we're all trying to work through this and learn from our mistakes. You know, that kind of compassionate thing. Other reasons somebody might forgive someone, because they can relate to that person. See, I don't know this person very well, and they did something kind of pretty bad, but I can kind of relate to it in some way. I understand why they did what they did, even though I don't think it was right, so I'm going to let it go. That happens, right? I don't know. I think that's about it. Why people forgive people. Why God forgives us. That's another mystery and grace and blessing that we just accept and appreciate. What do you have? What are some other, why should I forgive this person? Let's say I'm not a Christian. Let's say I'm an atheist. Why should I forgive this person? You know, let's leave that out of it. Why should I forgive them? I gave a couple reasons. Because they don't want to lose the relationship or the alliance. You know, it has nothing to do with love. I just don't want to lose, for whatever reason. Don't want to lose the relationship or damage it. Always a reason. That's my washer on the spin cycle. I'm not going to redo this video. Some of these videos will be shorter than others, and some may be a little more depth than others. I've got a lot of topics, and some of them I can't wait to cover. This is kind of a side one. Just why should people forgive other people? And not strictly from a biblical point. So that we look at the topic of forgiveness as many vantage points as we can come up with. And if you think of any, let me know. And if you think of any reasons, post them in the comments. Why people forgive other people. I think I've covered them all, you know. I'm not going to even hash them over again. So, that's it. I don't know. I'm kind of picking these at random. So, I don't know what the next one's going to be, but I've got a few out there that I can't wait to cover. But I got to give it some thought. And some of them I got to do some research. Some of them do bring the Bible in because the Bible, the New Testament specifically, Christianity, is all about forgiveness. The Old Testament, the law was basically an eye for an eye, right? And I think that's pretty much Islam's take on things. But the Old Testament is an eye for an eye kind of thing, tit for tat. And the New Testament through Jesus Christ teaches a whole different creed of forgiveness. An eye for an eye doesn't exist necessarily. I think it's still there in some places, but Christ taught us to love unconditionally. And if you're going to love unconditionally, you can expect to get some bumps and bruises in life from other people around you. You're going to get abused, honestly, if you love the way Jesus did. Unless you're the Pope or something. But if you're just a plain old Joe or Jane like myself, like I was in England, they said I was a Joe Blogs kind of guy. And I'm like, well, what's that mean, Joe Blogs? So it means you're just a decent kind of working guy, honest guy. And if you try to love the way Jesus loved, unconditionally in life, the way my mother loved, quite frankly, was the best human example of that I know of personally. People are going to use you and abuse you. So you just know, and that way you're taking up Christ's cross. In that way you're taking up the cross of Christ. That just occurred to me. Because he was used and abused right to the cross. Right when they drove those nails to his wrist and his hands, his wrist and his feet, and beat him and whipped him to death. I mean, yeah, he took some abuse for loving unconditionally, didn't he? And the same for you and me. And so, just so you know, I guess that's another topic. But this isn't scripted. I just kind of thought this out and made some notes and reviewed them. Just things I thought about through my day. That's all. And like I said, hopefully this will shine some light in a dark area. The light of God's truth is the true light, the type of light that will take out darkness, and the type of light that will reveal to you where you may have some hurts and some darkness in you, some wounds and some anger. If you let God come in, Jesus come into you, just ask him. That's it. Anyway, there's no special formula. Just ask him. And let him shine his light all through your body and your life, and it will illuminate any dark areas in you. They just come to mind. Maybe not instantly, but it will. You'll suddenly realize, wow, I haven't really forgiven this person, and or I need to work on this with this person because I've got some issues with these people or whatever, whatever, it could be anything. So why do people need to forgive other people? They're not obligated, especially if you're not a Christian, you're not obligated. And I have heard people tell, I don't forgive you. No, I'm not going to forgive you. I don't feel I have to. I've actually heard those words come out of a Christian's mouth. Not to me, but we just work through it. I think it's important to be genuine. If that's what the way this person felt that said those words, and my friend on the phone, I don't want to hear your shallow apologies. Just do something and make this right. Click. If that's how she sincerely felt, better be that way than be phony, in my opinion. Because I know both these people could be loving people, and then they could not be loving people. Just be yourself. But, we're trying to, carry the cross of Christ. And I could just keep talking and talking with my cup of tea and my doily here. Well, I wanted to mention, on my last video about animals and forgiveness, I forgot to say something. This mug reminds me of birds, honestly. I took some biology in college, and I didn't do very well in some of it, and some of it I did. But one thing I got out of it was class, I don't think it was zoology, but birds, their social skills of birds are much more highly evolved than ours are. Birds have been around for a lot longer than humans. Unless, we go with the Adam and Eve. I don't want to go against that. All right, so whatever you want to believe on that. But regardless, a lot of birds mate for life. They mate for life. And somebody told me, where I live, we see Canadian geese all the time in their V formations flying back and forth with the seasons. And somebody told me, I don't know if it's true, I should look it up, that they put their weakest flyer in the front. And that is a family, actually, that's an extended family, these flocks of geese. And somebody told me this, I don't know if it's true, that if one of them falls out and can't keep up with the group that's going south for the winter, or returning north for the summer, where they have their offspring and all. If one of them falls out because it's old or it's ill or injured, another one will go with it and stay with it on the ground. That's what I was told that. And from what I've observed also with animals, the social skills of birds are actually, many of them, not all of them. Some birds are solitary. But some birds, honestly, we could learn a lot from them on how we should be in our own relationship. Not like a bird, but he's a bird, right? No, I just admire the way they stay together, like a flock stays together, and a lot of birds will only take one mate for life, and that's it. So the little lovebirds on my teacup reminded me of that. So, all right, that's enough of this. Thank you, and till next time.